boing, 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 boing. If you're wondering what that was actually the mushroom monster mushroom mimic concept that I had in mind when I wanted to make this particular whole monster design. So if you haven't noticed yet, I actually do a lot of concept art, right? So I've been doing a lot of concepts before. I've been doing monsters, I've been doing environments, I've been doing props, I've been doing weapons, I've been doing structures, and also interior. But this time I felt like, why not just make a monster design that is completely fleshed out? So I have all the systematics, you know, like how it works and where it's placed, why is it doing why is it doing what it's doing, like all of that figured out. And right now, at the time at least, I had in mind a really cool mushroom based monster. And the idea was that it's supposed to be like a mimic. It's supposed to be like a part of the environment that you would be in, but they look sort of inconspicuous. Like you would probably pass by any of these and you won't notice that they're actually monsters, right? So the one monster that I had in mind is actually this one on the bottom left. So it looks like a mushroom that's come out of a dead tree trunk, and it's got legs on it, like a spider. It kind of looks like a crab, right? Like crab legs, but what I had in mind was that it would be moving, like skittering like a spider. And another one that I had in mind was also this other style of like a tree trunk, like it's a dead tree stump. And I went ahead and put like a little human figure, like roasting some marshmallows on an open fire, right? And this dead tree trunk, it just keeps on, tree stump, it keeps on skittering, like scurrying closer bit by bit until it's finally close enough for it to burst open and be like, surprise! And once that happens, well, you're gone, man. Like, you're gone. Because this thing, it can attack you physically, and if you don't get hit physically, it can actually release spores. Like spores, if you breathe it in, that's poisonous. Like if you breathe it in, you're gone. Like you're just gone. And I know it might look weird, but this is the actual animation that I had to come up with. I drew this earlier today just so it won't look like something so alien to you. Like I feel like if I just talk about it, you won't really know what I'm talking about unless I show it to you. So this is my attempt, okay? It might look silly, but it gets the point across. And this is also another one that I had in mind. This one's gonna come bursting out of the ground. So there's a sword on the ground, and if you pick it up, this mushroom monster is gonna notice, and it's gonna burst out of the ground like a tower, and it's going to eat you. You can see this, it's got like mouths coming out of it, and it's got these tentacles coming out of it too, and also tentacles coming out of the ground, which will take you and then bring it closer to its mouth. It will eat you, and then it will go back into the ground. And now the sword is once more bait, right? So anyway, the idea is that all of these mushroom mimics, they don't need to always look like they're like valuable things, like treasure chests, like in typical fantasy games or fantasy stories these days. But they could just pretty much look like anything. They can infect anything, and then they can seem like something you won't have to really thirst over or get so tempted by it. But those are just things you would normally just pass by because they look so ordinary. So in this case, it's tree trunks and just swords stuck to the ground, right? And this right here is the limbs of the monsters that I have designed. And even if I were to turn this into an actual IP or a game, well, I guess it is my monster now, but I don't think I will end up using all of it. But you can see I've labeled like 6, right? So we've got the regular crab style legs. Well, I call it tentacles because that's what they are. Like, they don't have any joints, right? So they don't look like crab legs, so I call them like tentacles. And then the second one is like a basic tentacle that can pretty much do anything. And the third one are like underdeveloped tentacles or feelers, so they can either be tentacles that have newly grown or just tentacles that are used as feelers to like detect things in the air, like maybe figure out if there's any humans nearby that it can attack. And the fourth one is like a club. You can see at the end there, it's actually quite solid looking, like a rock, right? If you can get hit in the head with it, it will really hurt. The fifth one is sort of like a blade. It's so sharp on one side. It's like a sword or like a dagger. It's used for cutting things up and slashing. And the sixth one is sort of like mandibles, like what a grasshopper would have. Like it would probably be, if it does have a mouth somewhere, it's gonna have these. And this next one is actually a refinement of the concept I did of the mushroom mimic monster that I have ended up liking the most. And that's the one that's gonna come bursting out of like a dead tree trunk. And as you can see here, it's just like a not suspicious looking at all tree trunk. And when someone's nearby, it would burst open, right? And then it can even stand up and charge at you, spider-like, all spider-like, like a spider charging at you. And the idea is that it would body slam you, right? And as it body slams you, it'll knock you back, it'll hurt you physically, and it'll also release these poisonous spores. And after it knocks you back, after it body slams you, it would just stay still. So it would just remain stationary and release spores continuously as it's just staying still. Because what I had in mind was that this thing won't be able to keep running towards you all the time, body slamming you all the time, but it would like body slam you once. So if you dodge, you will have to like wait for it to regain more energy so it can do it again. And if you keep dodging, it will actually just run out of energy and just fall off and die. But if it manages to hurt you or like get you real good, either by physically attacking you, damaging you, or you get affected by the poisonous spores that it's releasing. You can see me illustrating this on the bottom right, which is sort of the same type of thing that it's gonna do in this animation that I've made. And when it's doing this, it's releasing spores. It's not like, it's just not, it is stationary and it's not gonna body slam you, but once it's doing this, it's just staying in place and actually just releasing spores. And if you breathe it in, you'll die, you're gone. And these are signs that a mimic is nearby. So most of them, at least until number 5, right? They're blue looking, like turquoise colored. It's actually a mix of these magical runes embedded into like trees, just part of the environment by people who live there. I don't know if it's people or not, like whatever, like humanoids that live there. They worship these things. Either they worship them or they just put it there to warn you that these things exist, because they do look like, all of them look like mushrooms, right? And I guess you can call them totems. What's the other word for it? Totems, was it? Yeah, I think it's a totem. So you stick it on trees to warn others who might roam into this place, just to let them know that these mushroom mimics are actually nearby, so they'll have to watch out. And this other one right here in the corner is actually like a tree that has been infected by these mushroom creatures, and it's blisters that have formed and will keep growing bigger and bigger, and if they keep growing bigger, it will eventually turn into one of these mushrooms, and it can in turn the tree into a dead tree. And once more, the cycle continues. Somebody comes near, it can just burst open into a mushroom creature, and it will get you good. And the other one, the last one in the corner here, is actually its little legs sticking out of the tree. So it's not camouflaging itself well. It could be like a juvenile. So if this thing is, the legs of this thing is still small like that, it means you can quickly kill it off. Like you can just kill the tree, and then if you kill the tree, the thing inside of it, the mushroom, will also die. And these are also more signs to show that a mushroom mimic is nearby. Of course, it could be traces of battle in the form of just ammunitions, projectiles here and there, arrows, and like worn out swords, and also like shed blood. And the other ones could be like maybe even things that would tempt you, like treasure. So in this case, it's in the form of coins and pouches. You don't know what's inside, like, right? Like it's just a pouch. And also human remains and these other ones. So the runes, the totems, they could be in the form of runes or actual totems, man-made, that is put in place just so people would know that there's one of these things nearby. The inspiration for at least the one on the very right corner is one of those Buddhist totems that people, at least in Japan, they like scatter here and there, right? I think the purpose of those things is to like provide protection to travelers. But anyway, this is I took that idea and then made sure to have it be relatable, in this case, for warning people that there's a mushroom monster nearby. And I will, of course, show the time lapse, all of it right here. But yeah, that's the whole idea of these mushroom things that I have made. I will, of course, soon after this, probably next week, I'm gonna be providing a more refined design that I had in mind of these mushroom monsters. And I'm gonna pick this one particular monster, right? And I'm going to be turning it into like a quite a refined rendering of how it should look, and also the environment it's going to be in, and how it's going to react when someone is nearby. So keep an eye out for that one. I'll give you a teaser. It's gonna look like this, okay? It's going to be more in depth of a discussion about this by me next week, so stay tuned. And if you're still here, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the